All right, Jonas. We are back and we're dealing with a couple technical difficulties, so we're going to see what happens. Just rolling with it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah, man. So, this is not my normal studio. I am at a hotel in the middle of nowhere, Bemidji, Minnesota, for some training. So, I'll be gone for the week. I'm about halfway through. But I was like, hey, while I'm up here after training, I'm not sure what the heck I'm going to do since everything's frozen. So, I'll bring my stuff. And here we are. Figured we'd get a second JABS episode recorded, so it's just going to be a shorter episode today. But Jonas was doing some research and found that JABS, which I explained in the first JABS episode, how kind of a jab is just a realignment. It's a measurement. It's kind of a refocusing point in your life instead of trying to go for that knockout or that takedown. That's kind of where I got that. And also the acronym journey alignment brings success, because we're shooting for success, not for perfection. And Jonas also found that it could stand for Jonas and Bailey. Did we decide on Summit?
I like Summit. What was the other one? It was
You sent a million of them.
yeah. Thanks,
Sessions.
Sessions. Yeah. I wouldn't quite say it was research. It was more that I got close to my shower and my brain started working. So that I give that the credit goes to my shower. So
It's like your think tank. You hop in there, and it's like a time machine of greatness.
Yeah, I was doing like laundry, like pile up my laundry, and I was just like, J and B are in JABS. We got something here.
Like A and S. What's S?
Yeah,
I like it. So
I asked ChatGPT. I said, give me other words that is like a jab, or no, what was it? Something like that. That's
sessions that are synonym of.
Yes, like words that like mean discussions that starts with an S, and it was like summits, and all that other stuff.
I like summits. It kind of aligns with the mountain theme. Like in the last episode when I talked to Nick.
Yeah, my brain
about
also
the mountains and stuff. There they are. Yeah. I know we kind of got into stuff that we like to do and whatnot from our childhood, growing up in your full episode. I think it was episode 9. You would have been on before. You were on last week, so in episode 9. But on a continuation of that, I was kind of thinking about some concerts that we went to growing up, because that was kind of one of our things. We went to all kinds of concerts. Florida Georgia Line, there's like 5 or 6 of them that we hit up. A lot of Low Cash, a couple of rock concerts. But off the top of your head, what is your favorite? You know what? What's your favorite part about going to concerts? First of all,
my favorite part of going to concerts, it's I want to like you're at a concert when you step out of your car. You're just there. Unfortunately, it's you smell alcohol and you smell cigarettes. And you go, I'm at a concert, and you kind of just like it. But that's where your brain goes to, because I go to Lake Sham, whatever. It's like festival air. I enjoy that part of it, but
it's not even that it smells good. It's just the nostalgia of it. It brings you to a place where you felt at a really good point in your life, alive. Yeah, it was just like, this is a really cool moment. This is so much fun. And even though it doesn't, like, I do not like the smell of cigarettes, but for some reason, every now and then, like walking by somebody, you'll get just the perfect whiff, and you're like, okay, that kind of smells good. Not the smell, but the thoughts, the way it makes me feel. It's like, I love the way this smoke is making me feel in a different way than actually, it's hard to explain, but.
No, I agree with that. It's not like getting like a cigarette like blown right in your face. It's like a faint smell. It's just kind of there.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of there, and you're like,
yeah.
Feel like, what are these guys smoking anyway?
No, it's great.
No, it's the feeling of it, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, getting as close as possible and feeling the bass drum just rattle your bones. You're like, I might have a heart attack tonight, but I'm fine with that. I'm ready to go.
Yes, this is the way to go. Even like for King and Country concert, like, and they're a Christian contemporary band, like, I have just as much fun at those ones as I do like a Florida Georgia Line, because it's like being up as close as you can get. And Courtney, God bless her soul, I love her so much. But she does not like being up front. She doesn't like being sweat on and right in the middle of everything during a concert. She'd prefer to be back and kind of being able to observe and sitting comfortably and watching. So I've had to kind of adapt to that over time. But every now and then she'll let me let loose, and we'll get up close. Like at Hardy, we got pretty close up there, and that was a riot. But as far as concerts go, looking back, what was your favorite one that we got to attend together?
It's the Kip Moore concert in Mankato. The
Really?
environment was just insane. There's a lot going on both of our lives, and I have a ton of memories of Mankato. So do you. And like to go back
Mm-hmm.
there and see one of our favorite country artists, or a couple of them. Cadillac Three open for him, but to see Kip Moore and like the stars were just popping off. It was a beautiful night. It was unreal. It was very very
Mm-hmm.
surreal moment. So
And I would agree. I think there's some FGL ones that are up there for sure for me, and I think the Breaking Benjamin concert was a lot of fun too, just because we got to be in Mankato and got to be with a couple of different friends that we wouldn't have normally gone to concerts with.
mm-hmm.
I remember the first one we went to was Florida Georgia Line, Thomas Rhett, Old Dominion, and I think there's a couple others. But we like stood there all day in the freaking hot sun, and it ended up being worth it because we were like 2 rows back from those guys. That was my first concert. I think my first country concert, but it
Yeah,
was it was
that
insane.
was
And
my
I
first as well. That was other than that, it was just Phillips Craig and Dean that we've got to.
right, yeah,
So it's a totally
some of the
different
more
environment.
church,
Yeah.
right, completely different environment. Um, But I think I'd have to agree. One of the coolest ones was that Kit Moore concert in Mankato. Was it 2 summers ago now?
Yeah.
Is that when it was?
It was. Yeah, it would have been August 23, I believe.
Sure. Yeah, so it would have been just about. Was it really? Or was it 2022? No, it was 23
That's
because I was
23.
already married in 2022. We got married, and then yeah, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I agree. Same thing. It's just cool being in that because we went to Mankato growing up, seeing the Vikings play in the training camp. And RIP Minnesota Vikings. I put my hat in the background. I was hoping it would catch it, but there it is.
At
Sad
least you
Viking
did.
noises. That's where I slept last night and cried myself to sleep after we lost
And
the
I suppose you had to
playoffs.
watch the game by yourself.
I did, yeah. I laid here and
It's probably better watching the game by yourself because like then you don't have to hear the other haters. Like I was with my buddies and they're like, "Oh, Sam Darnold sucks." So I was like, "He had a great season. Come on, like you got to give credit where credit's due. He had a great season. He played awful yesterday.
mm-hmm.
He played awful against the Lions. I understand that, but
Right. And you'll have that.
you know,
Yeah, but no, yeah, so the Vikings training camp, that's where we went to growing up at Mankato. So there was a lot of just nostalgia being there. Um and then yeah, that concert was one of the more cool ones for sure because you're just in the moment and like that venue is all outside and the stars were out like you said just exploding in the sky and sitting there watching like Cadillac 3 went out there they tore it up like they
mm-hmm.
love to just rock out so just hanging out with you guys and dad and then Chuck Claude and his kid Austin came and found his way to us and we just got
Yeah,
to hang out and then Kip got on stage and rocked the socks off of it but it's kind of funny how, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to do this episode had to do with concerts, and it kind of made me thinking too about being here up at training. I don't have my normal backdrop behind me and all the stuff that I have that kind of accumulates kind of who I am and what I really enjoy, what I really like. But one of the things that I have always had with me while I've recorded is a guitar pick, and it was from that night, and it is a Cadillac Three CT3 guitar pick, and it is Jaren Johnston. He's the lead singer and shreds on the guitar. But at the beginning or at the end of this past year, they had to cancel all the rest of their tours for the remaining of the year. I think it was September of 2024, and they had to
mm-hmm.
cancel the rest of the shows for the rest of the year. And it was because of his mental health. And he had taken a moment to step back from the shows and whatnot because he needed to get his mind right. He wasn't there mentally, and he was in a very dark place. I don't know, all the details with it other than they had to cancel shows. I heard rumors that he had to check himself into like a mental health institution to kind of help him get through it. Whether or not that was true, he took a break from singing because he was really, really struggling. And I look back at that night that we just talked about, with the stars being out, and I'm sure from Jaren's perspective up on stage, shredding the guitar and singing his heart out to all the fans, there was thousands of people up on the hill there, and then to see the millions of the stars and just the coolness of the air, and it was just an insane evening. And he was probably having an experience that only people get to dream of. If if you could ask me some of the coolest things that I could even think of doing, it would be, fighting in a UFC arena just for the heck of it, or, playing in the NFL, getting some snaps in, just if you're thinking like dream, what would be the coolest thing? And, probably the first and probably one of the coolest would be up on stage singing and performing in front of a bunch of people, just having the time of my life. Jaren appeared to be having the time of his life. He appeared to be at the top of his game. He appeared to be happy and healthy and just having a great time. Yet inside his mind, inside his head up there, he was falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to kind of find some quotes. The first one is by Ian McLaren, I think. I can't really read my handwriting. I scribbled it down. But it says, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about." And that really kind of hit me. And that's kind of why I keep this pick with me wherever I go, because as far as recording goes, is because he is right in the middle of it. He's going right in the middle of this battle, that battle between the ears that we've talked about before. And he had to stop doing what he was doing. So it's like, even though everybody may appear happy, you just don't know who's going through something. So you got to keep trying to be the best person you can be, if not for yourself, but for those around you, because you just don't know what people are going through.
Yeah, it's crazy that you never think of it happening to people that are successful, super successful. They're playing for hundreds of people, thousands of people. And I was just reading about it a little bit ago. Like, he's wrote songs with Keith Urban, Billy Currington, Tim McGraw, Jake Owen, some of the biggest names in country music. And you never think about, like, he's had that. It's been so successful in that area. Their new album that came out in 2023 was 15th in rock, like classic rock, whatever their genre is kind of different. But
it's an interesting genre, yeah.
And you just you never think about that. Like, oh, he's probably living it up, going on crazy vacations. But at the same time, it's not like us. Like, we go to work. We go to work for our normal hours, and then we're done. Like, we don't have to think about it again. But like for them as like music artists and songwriters, they're dealing with like where they're gonna play next and traveling and writing new songs. What's the next album gonna sound like? So it's kind of, for them, it's 24/7, and they love it. Obviously, they do it. They chose that profession, but it almost seems like they don't have time to like take a break to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
And you said that it's kind of, and I think, yeah, we can't relate completely because of the jobs that we have, like your job and like my job. At the end of the day, I can clock out and I can go home and not think about it at all. Whereas him,
Yeah.
like he can clock out, but at the same time, like he's always got to be thinking about that next thing, that next song. Like, okay, well, I got to be thinking, otherwise I'm not going to make any money for my family. And I'm sure that can just trickle and snowball, but because it's not on that same level.
Yeah, at the same time, in that, I think it was an Instagram post, one of the reasons was, obviously, it's because of his mental health, but it's also because of longevity. You can't expect to play music forever if you're not 100% there. You're gonna crash and burn. Maybe you start having fights with the bandmates and you break up for good. So I think it's super important to get your mind right. That's even for us, as I'm just a carpenter and you just work in, you don't just work in a jail, but
And you are not just a carpenter. I want you to get that out of your head first of all. Like,
yeah.
People say that. They say, we're talking about this superstar, Jaren Johnston, rock star. He's writing music for all these people. And you say, well, I'm just a carpenter. No. Like, you are a carpenter. I want you to get that out of your head.
Like, you're not just a guy who works in jail.
And I've done that before too.
Yeah.
And like, we've talked about this before, and I've talked about it as well, like wanting to be a police officer for so long. And then like I didn't want to be in corrections because I didn't want to be just a guy who worked in a jail. I didn't want to be just a correctional officer. I wanted to be what I wanted to be. And like people say that all the time. They're like, well, I'm just a jailer. It's like, no, you're not just a jailer. It's like, oh, sorry, I'm just a correctional officer. I'm like, no. I don't care if you're a jailer or a correctional officer. Get rid of that just part, because then you're limiting yourself, and you're like saying that you're not as good as something else, or as something else have in your mind. Like, you could be as good as you want to be right now. You don't have to have a title. And, I think some of those things start with, taking care of your mental health. And it's even on a level like, and some people think, well, I'm just a carpenter, so maybe I don't deserve to be happy and healthy and harder to kill, if you will. Like, I'm not Jaren Johnston, I'm not Cadillac Three, I'm not Keith Urban, I'm not, Post Malone. So what does it matter if I'm, if I'm on the top of my game? But
And
if
that goes into that Instagram video that you sent me last night. Is the analogy of if you were told that you had a human to take care of,
when you were first born,
yeah, you'd be taken care of, like drink your water, don't do drugs, don't go to the gym, do this, read your books and stuff. But you don't think about it because that's what our job is. Like, I'm taking care of myself, you're taking care of yourself, but now you're going to be taking care of another little human, which
right?
adds more to it.
But that's a great analogy too. Like, you think about preparing to have a kid and preparing to take care of a human, and that video, you nailed it on the head. I'm glad you talked about it then, because that's a great. I was just about to get there too in the segue of it, but he says, imagine at the beginning of your life, we are given a human, and you were told, "Hey Jonas, you have one job for the rest of your life. You have to take care of this human," and most of us don't even realize that that's our job. That's been our job ever since we were a baby, like to take care of ourselves. Like, it's, just like I'm preparing to be a dad and figuring out a way how to take care of this little baby to make sure that he can grow up in the best possible way that he can be, to be the best possible version of himself. It's like, I've got that same assignment, right now.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to help myself get to that point? And there's another quote, courage doesn't happen when you have all the answers. It happens when you are ready to face the questions you have been avoiding your whole life. And, excuse me, that's kind of where Jaren was at. He didn't want to face those anymore. He said, you know what, I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna take this to get better. And a lot of people nowadays, with men especially, they say, well, especially if you are like a carpenter or somebody in corrections or in the military, it's like, well, I'm a man, I'm not going to show my emotions, I don't want to try to talk about my mental health or my feelings because it just doesn't matter. Well, when in all reality, it very much does. And I think it's a very courageous thing to be able to admit that you want to get help, to stop continuing in this life of, just eking by, this life of just mediocrity, and not trying to, and thinking, this is it for me, this is all I'm going to be good for. It's like, no, you can be happy in any circumstance that you're in. You just have to find the right mentality for it. And if your mentality is not there, do something about it,
Yeah, you touched on it a little bit, but for him to like, we need to cancel the rest of the tour. That's huge. To be able to address that, like, I'm not okay, I need to go get help, like I need to work on these things so we can continue making awesome music and play for years down the line for our fans. That's because he's probably getting backlash and hate online. Like, why would you ever do that? Like, you're supposed to be this guy on top of the world playing for us, entertaining us. It's like, no, he's still a human. He still puts his pants on just like us do in the morning. So it's
one leg at a time.
Yeah, one leg at a time. One leg at a time. Yeah.
I like that. That's a good analogy. He's a human just like anybody else, and that's what we got to do. One leg at a time. Throw your pants on, buddy. Let's get to work. Something to just kind of wrap it up here. This being a JABS episode, we're going to keep it somewhat short so we can kind of just, like I said, have a little realignment and back to the grind. But there's a story, I can't remember if I've told it on here before or in who it was with, but there was a time a couple years ago where I was really struggling mentally. Like, I couldn't go throughout the day without thinking about this thing that was so heavy on my heart with anxiety. And it was work at the time, and for whatever reason. And I went to Target, and I was walking around Target, and I was going to get some groceries or something, and I ended up seeing a buddy or somebody I went to high school with. I guess I haven't talked to him in a while, but in the distance, and I'm sure you've been there too. You get to a store and you see somebody in the distance, even if it's somebody you know, and you're like, I don't really want to talk to this person.
yeah. I guess I'm going to the
what's
baby
that, Mom? Right now. Right. You find yourself in the women's underwear section. You're like, oh shoot, what am I doing? Quick turn. Yeah. And like, you try to avoid that person for whatever reason. And I think sometimes it's, maybe the enemy telling you, hey, that person needs you, but I want to distract you. I don't make you feel like you can't go talk to that person So you make excuses up. You go, oh, I'm too tired. I don't have the energy to talk to this person. I got to hurry up and get back to my couch where I was before, laying around and moping around.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I see this person and I go, and I go the opposite way and get my stuff or whatever. And I've got my hood up and I'm just making my way through Target and get my stuff, go to the checkout, and I'm scanning my items, and all of a sudden I hear "bae," and I turn around and it's a different person. Sorry, it's a different person, and it's one of Courtney's friends, Abby, and she comes up. How are you? I hadn't seen her in a couple weeks, and Courtney was down in Florida, so I was at home alone at the time. How are you doing? And I was like, good. And she, like, without even asking, like, she just gave me a big hug and said, oh, it's so great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope work's going well. And like all this stuff. And it was kind of really quick, like short and sweet. And then she left, but I got my stuff and went out to the car and I just had to sit there for a little bit. And like, I hadn't realized like how badly I needed that attention from another human being, like just that positive energy, just for her to recognize me there and not avoid me and make a point to come up to me, ask me how I was, and give me a big hug like that. Like I will never forget that till the day that I die,
Mm-hmm.
how impactful that was. And I told her a couple times even after that, like, hey, remember that time? Like, I was really struggling mentally, and that was a huge boost, like to feel loved like that by another human being. Just out of the blue, just randomly. And it really, really meant a lot to me. Looking back, it's like, man, I really should have talked to that guy that I saw across Target. And it kind of sparked that in my mind, like to make a point to do that in the future. Like if I do see somebody, when I get the feeling of, I really don't want to talk to this person, or when I get the feeling of, say, I'm at a restaurant and I want to get upset because my food's wrong or my order's taking too long, or whatever it is, somebody gives you attitude in a checkout, you want to like bark back or flip somebody off in traffic, like I talked about in the previous episode with Nick. Be that guy that's flipping people off for whatever reason because I'm so upset. But it's like we don't know what other people are going through.
Mm-hmm.
And so I challenge anybody that's listening, if you do see somebody in public that you're like, I just don't have the energy for it. Nah,
Yeah.
no, I'm not gonna. Or after church, like everybody's always in a hurry to just get back or go home to watch the game or to get out of there. Like there could be somebody that really needs you.
Yeah.
And
That popped like a story into my brain. It was the other day, me and Grant, we went to the gym, and then I was supposed to go help Martin make jerseys for that hockey tournament we were playing. So we were all over the place. Went to Walmart trying to find paint. Like off topic, but I got in my truck, called me. I went back in Walmart 3 times. He called me right when I get in my truck, like I need to go back in. Like, right. So we ended up going to the mall to what's that fabric store in there?
Joanne's.
We went to Joanne's, and there was like a truck parked to the side, and this guy was like unloading stuff for the GNC in there, like body armors and protein powder and stuff. And Grant opened the door for him on the way in. And then we got our stuff, went out a different door, and we got in the truck. The truck was warm and started. It's cold out. It's like 8 o'clock at night at this point. And he looks over, and the guy went back to get another load on his little dolly thing, and there's water bottles and body armor scattered all across like the driveway area. And he's like, dude, let's go help him. I was like, oh. It's cold though. He's like, he probably hates his life. We're going to help him. We hopped out and like grabbed everything, put all in the boxes, and put on the cart, and like got him into the mall. He's like, you guys have no idea like how much that meant to me. Like, thank you. Like, are you guys coming into GNC? We're like, no, we're not. But like, have a good night. He's like, thank you guys so much. We got in the truck. He's like, you're right. That felt great. Like that was awesome. Like he's probably like, sweet. Those guys are awesome. Right. And like my attitude looking at it was like, dude, it's cold. Like I want to go. Like I don't want to go help him. That's his job, which is an awful attitude to have. I was grateful that I did to hop out of the truck and help him, which was neat. It's a good feeling to have.
Absolutely, because not only is he boosted by that, but then that person gets to gain from it as well. Like you felt better afterwards going, I didn't have to do that. I didn't want to do that. My body told me not to do that, but for some reason I did. And now I know that guy's going to go on and like positivity is contagious. Mm-hmm. He's going to go on into that store and maybe he's going to see a little kid, that super random. Maybe there's a little kid that's gonna, this kid wants to be a cop when he grows up, and this guy is driving his cart through there, and the little kid has a police car, and maybe he's playing with it, and it falls on the ground, and that guy has an opportunity to pick it up, and he looks at the kid, and after he's all cold and sweaty and tired from loading all that stuff up by himself, and he goes, it goes by the kid, he picks it up, and he goes, "Do you want to be a stupid cop, kid, or whatever? Like, just get that out of my face. Like, here's your toy." Or doesn't even pick it up. And maybe that affects that kid to the point where, like, well, man, maybe I don't want to do that anymore. Maybe I don't even want to believe in that anymore. And that's a little extreme, probably. But you get the point. Like, it's contagious. That maybe now that guy's going to be going in there. He's going to see that little kid. The kid's going to drop his toy. The guy's going to pick it up. Like, "Oh, Spider-Man, sweet. Oh, that's awesome, kid. Have fun." And the kid's going to go, "Oh, yeah." And, like, he may not remember that moment exactly, what the guy said or what he did, but most likely that kid's going to remember how it made him feel. And that's just a trickle of positivity. That guy's going to go home, and he's going to be in a better attitude when he's around his own kids or his own family. Like, you could have potentially broken a chain of negativity by that kindness. Does that make sense?
Like, no, 100%. Yeah. Oh, there it is. I went, like, I said it once.
No more 100% for Jonas.
No more, yeah, none, and I'm never sniffing again.
Just your nose is just running the whole time.
It bothered me so bad.
Hey, it's all right. So yeah, that's all I got for the episode today. What you got anything else to add with that?
No, I think that was it. I think we touched everything that you wanted to touch in the notes.
Yeah, and I mean that is what it is. I appreciate you hopping on here and listening to it, and kind of guiding my thoughts as well, and putting in your input as well. Because as two people talk, you start to think of things, and then you think of a story, and then I think of a story, and then that's just how.
Yeah, I'm just get back into the podcast game as we do more of these. I'll get better and more fluent, and just it will flow.
I keep telling people too. At the end of the day, if nobody likes it, nobody watches it, I personally gain from it. I'm going to remember the stories that we talk about. I write them down on a piece of paper. I have every single one of these from the episodes that I do, and I have them in a folder. And it's stuff that I'm able to apply to my life. So even if nobody listens, like, I gain from this conversation right now with you, and I appreciate it. And we're just going to keep working on it, keep going, and keep getting better as brothers, as people, as a community. And we're just going to try to keep sharpening people as much as we can. And if they don't want any part of it, we're still going to be here. We're still going to keep doing it. We're going to be like an outlet in the wall. If somebody wants to plug in, they can. If they're tired of it, they can. If they want to plug in, they can. Otherwise, we're still going to be here. Sometimes you might have to, get down behind the couch to get it in there to activate. You just cut out. Yeah. There you go. Hi.
It was because I said low power.
So low power. All right.
I got text messages too during, and I was like, what time not to be at work?
All right, buddy. It's been real. People, if you are struggling, if you're going through a tough time with mental health, if you are no longer feeling like you're rocking and rolling on top of the stage of life, reach out. Find somebody to talk to, even if it's myself or Jonas. Seriously, shoot me a message. I would be willing to talk with any one of you about whatever you got going on. It's worth it. It's no fun to be alone and to be sad and to be struggling with depression or anxiety or whatever. You think of like Robin Williams too, like one of the happiest guys in the world, and he got to the point where he couldn't take it anymore. And had he reached out, maybe it would have been a different story. And maybe he did. I don't know. But if you ever feel like you're in that position, wherever you are, please reach out so you can get back up on that stage and you can keep on rocking. Stay sharp, everybody.